What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Swimbaits sessions number 2. Out here with my buddy Billy, and we've been out pretty much all day trying to catch some fish on swim baits. Today's topic being some more affordable glide baits and swim baits. We're going to go over a couple of different glide baits that are on the cheaper side, and then 2 or 3 soft plastic swim baits that are good. We won't even say cheap, just affordable and more entry level than some of the more expensive glides and crankdowns that my boy Billy loves throwing around. Billy also brought me a Swimbait rod to use, which would be perfect entry-level Swimbait rod, which we'll go over that, and then we'll share some of the fishing action with you guys from today as well. But let's take a look at some of these baits that he's got. You're the mastermind behind all this.
Yeah, I was just brought a bunch, minus a couple of these, that are comparable to like some of the more expensive baits you'll find, but that if you want to just get into it, you don't have to spend $150, $200 on a bait. This is the River to Sea S Waver. This is like probably what anyone will tell you to start out on as far as throwing glide baits goes. I want to say these are like 14 or 15 bucks, which might sound like a lot, but in the swim bait world is like nothing. These are great starters. They're good size, like you'll catch 1-pounders. My previous personal best was 9 pounds on the dot on this exact bait right here. But I've also caught, you know, bluegill try to hit this thing. So that's a great starter bait. And then I brought this guy too. This is the Storm Arashi, which is kind of a new bait. It came out I think this year. It's basically, I mean, it's another glide bait. I think it's in the under $30 range. The paint jobs on these are really cool, and they also do like translucent ones like that as well. That's like, yeah, a good like mid-range one. This is like if you want to go big, if you're trying to get like what you see a lot of these guys on Instagram and YouTube doing. This is a good starter bait for that. It's the Shine Glide 230. I'm probably wrong, but I think it was like $15 or $16. Maybe it was a little more, but not much. It's still affordable. I mean, for instance, like if you go for like a handmade one, custom made one like this could be 150 bucks. So you're talking 20 or 30 bucks for this, and it's, you know, I mean, you're getting quality, but you're also getting, if you want to throw a bigger bait, this is a good way to start without breaking the bank. This is just a mag draft.
It's yes. An 8-inch, right?
This is an 8-inch mag draft, but I kind of like, it's really mangled now, but it comes with a harness in it that you can, it's built into the bait when you buy it. It's got a treble hook here and a slot that you stick the treble hook in. But I made this one kind of weedless, really janky, by cutting the harness out and putting a beast hook in there so you can run it through trees and stuff. That's a really good soft swim bait. Same thing, you'll catch 1-pounders and you'll catch 10-pounders. It's just a good all-around swim bait. I think that's 15, 20 bucks, right around there. So yeah, this is a ducket. It's basically a bull shad, but I got this bait on Tackle Warehouse for $8. It's got a magnet front hook on it. You can see it. So when it's swimming, it locks it up there. Makes it a little more weedless. I mean, this is like a mass-produced bull shad, so you know it's definitely plastic and not like your resin and higher quality paint jobs and stuff. But if you want to throw a bull shad style bait for $8 instead of 50, it's a great option. Oh, this is the other one I brought. This is a really good one too. This is the Savage Gear. It's the smaller version of this big guy. So you have this, it's a 185 size, and this is the 230 size. So if you're not quite ready for the 230, you know, you can start down here. The cool thing is these smaller ones, like the S Waver and even this one, they're like in the under 2 ounces range. So you can throw those on most, you know, flipping sticks without having to go out and get a specialty rod. This one's more like 4 or 5 ounces, which, you know, probably won't work on. You'd probably have to get a more specialty rod for that. But these guys, like you can take your jig rod and spend 15 bucks and be throwing swim baits tomorrow if you want. You know, you don't have to spend 1,000 bucks on a whole range of things if you know, just to get started. But yeah, that's those are some good baits, like if you just want to get into it, and they all have cool colors to match whatever you're trying to match. And even though they are starter baits, I still throw, I mean, I throw these all the time because they're great. I mean, I wouldn't even call them starter baits, honestly. I would just call them cheaper swim baits. But the River to Sea ones come with super strong hooks. Same with the Storm Arashi. Like, I didn't swap those hooks out at all. Yeah, good place to start. if you want to get into it.
All right, so for 2 of the soft plastic baits, I would recommend throwing or starting with one of the smaller mag drafts. This is the regular one too, it's not the freestyle. This one, like Billy said earlier about the 8-inch that he took the harness out of, this is what that looks like. So it comes with a treble hook on a swivel, and then there's a magnet in the belly. I can't get the hook in there with one hand right now, but one of the hooks goes up in the belly and then it keeps it somewhat weedless. They also sell this size in a freestyle, which means there's no harness in it and it doesn't come with a hook. And I've thrown those around quite a bit and done very, very well. Those I was throwing around, I want to say it was on a 6/0 owner beast. Then you can get the flashy beast too. And if I could recommend another soft plastic swim bait to start on, it would definitely be the Dream Smasher. Billy got me onto these things. I think it was like the 3rd cast I ever threw one of these. I caught 3.5 pounder or something. And these are on a 10/0 owner beast, right? Is that what we finally figured out?
8 or 10, I can't remember.
Yeah, either an 8 or 10/0 owner beast. And again, you can get it with the underspin on there, but these things are awesome. This has probably caught 4 or 5 fish. Definitely gets a little beat up. It's still soft plastic, but they're awesome baits. Something that Billy did point out to me, like after we'd been fishing it for a little bit, was that the flat nose on it really helps deflect the cover, and you can slow roll this thing on the bottom and it almost never gets stuck. It's not like an oversized massive bait that you're going to be unconfident throwing. I want to say 6 inches, but it's a really sweet bait. I mean, these guys are awesome. They sent me probably like 8 or 10 of their baits, and I throw them pretty much every time I go out, and I've had some sweet days throwing these things around. But as far as entry-level swim baits, I think Billy crushed that, wrapped it up pretty good, gave you guys a lot of really good options. And I know a lot of you have been asking like what's a good entry-level swim bait or starter swim bait, and you've been asking about a setup too. And Billy brought me this to throw around today, and I'm glad that we're doing this now because I actually got to fish this for probably the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 hours. This is a Dobbins Fury series. It's a 795 swim bait, and this thing is freaking awesome. He's got it paired up with a Tranks 200. So, Billy, you said this rod's like $100?
I think it's $99 or something. It's under $150, I know that.
Just throwing this bigger S-Waver around. This is the 200, and this, I think we said this weighs like 2.5 ounces or so.
Somewhere around there.
And I was throwing this thing with ease. Pretty much pinpoint casts if I wasn't getting it stuck on a tree with the treble hooks very often. Not tired at all, no fatigue. I mean, this is just a sweet setup. I'm definitely going to be getting myself one of these. But again, 200 size reel for this, and you can probably also get away with like a 300, either the Tranks 300 or Lexa 300. Very sweet stick. I love throwing this thing around.
If you are getting into the big baits, you can either go with like a Dobbins 806. They make that one in the Fury line as well, so it's super affordable. Or this is a really sweet rod too. This is the iRod Genesis Bailey's Mag Swimbait Rod. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's around the same, like 100 to 150. But this thing's 8'6", rated up to 12 ounces, 65-pound braid. So if you do end up wanting to get into these bigger baits, but still are trying to maybe get your feet wet and not go out and buy a $400 custom rod, this thing can pretty much chuck anything. And it's super stout and beefy, and I mean, 12 ounces, pretty intense. But yeah, this is a great one. And if you're also worried about the length, this thing's pretty cool too. I don't know if it's gonna do it right now, but like, oh, for traveling and stuff, it pops right out here. And then you got like, you know, and only a 7.5 foot rod that you can carry around with you.
I didn't even know it did that. That's sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
It's pretty sweet because it is like carrying around an 8'6" rod, especially if you're on the bank or putting it in your Volkswagen or something, is pretty crazy. But yeah, to break that down like that's pretty awesome. And this has a Tranks 300 on it, but really, like, if you're just starting, I wouldn't worry too much about the reel. Line's probably more important. I pretty much don't do anything less than 20, and this goes up. I have this on 25, but those baits are heavy, and when you rear back and chuck them, they will snap if you don't have it on the proper line. I've lost a lot of baits doing that. So yeah, line's probably more important than reel, in my opinion, when you're first starting out. And then just save up and get yourself a nice You know, rather than have a bunch of junky reels, save up and get the right reel. You'll be happier, I would imagine.
All right, so we're gonna throw a couple different baits, kind of show you some of the different actions that they have, and hopefully run into a couple fish. Oh, I just had one eat it right there. Literally right. I can't let it come up and pause, and it's like a 2-3 pounder. That was sick. I brought it up for that pause and just like let it sit there, and I saw him come up underneath it, and surprised he missed it. It wasn't a big fish, but it was probably, I'd say, between 2 and 3 pounds. Wish it was a little cleaner.
Yeah, it's a little
Mm-hmm. It's had a couple follows.
Yeah,
It's still like probably like 2 feet of viz. Yeah, I'd say it's like 2 feet of visibility.
They don't like push into it.
Mm-hmm. Oh! That was awesome. Dude, I brought it right by those 2 freaking pieces of wood there. Now I got him. Oh, sorry. Almost had him. He was shallow, man. He came out from that post and just... Yep. On the S-Waver 2 hundo.
95% caught?
Yeah, he was...
I wasn't even
almost
thinking. I don't know why I
It's
grabbed it.
dude, it's no big. He was only like 2 pounds. That was not a big fish for this bait. Oh, that was very cool. He smoked it. Like, I watched him come musky eat. All right, shallow point, guts, wood.
Definitely seems like when the wind is on.
It has to be windy, I think. I mean, this morning, low light's a little different because when we were fishing those bluff falls, I was trying to pick the shadier ones for that reason. And I had like, what, 2 fish follow the S-Waver? 3? One of them ate it. But then once that wind picked up, definitely seems to have helped. So for the majority of the day, we've been really focusing on wood, whether it's on shallower flats or pockets or little guts. Most of the fish that we've moved or hooked have been literally like in the trees. And I know it seems almost counterintuitive to throw these glides like through a giant tree because they have 2 huge treble hooks, but they actually find their way out of that wood pretty good. You will get them stuck, like we've been stuck probably 100 times, but that's where the fish are. You have to put these baits in those sticky spots to get bit. And they have a lot of drawing power too. Like, we've obviously seen, 6, 7, 8 fish today, all that were big enough to eat the baits and just couldn't coax them into eating. But
that's pretty typical too. You'll have days where like you're gonna see a lot more fish than you actually catch.
yeah.
But that's not necessarily, I was telling you earlier actually, it's not necessarily just doing something wrong. A lot of times those fish aren't planning on eating it anyway. They're just checking you out, seeing what, they've never seen anything like that before, whatever, they're just following it. So don't get discouraged if you're seeing tons of followers but no fish committing, because that's pretty standard.
I mean, there's so few other ways to fish for bass that are like that. Like that they'll just chase a lure all the way to the boat and potentially eat.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't think of another one that's like, I guess some topwaters they'll follow to the boat, or like a crankbait, or even a jig that you're like reeling in real quick, but it's such a fast interaction.
Yeah.
It's not like the glide where you can see it 15, 20 feet out from the boat, and then that fish follows it all the way in. It's super cool.
Super fun. Kind of like reiterating what you said about not being afraid to throw it in wood. Like, these are really easy to manipulate with subtle reel turns and stuff. So like if you are coming up to a piece of wood, you can actually do a lot of kind of pulling it to the side to get it to get out, you know, and go around a piece of wood or whatever. You're kind of in control of the whole thing. So if you get kind of used to how it moves with little short reel turns like this, you can actually kind of zigzag it wherever you want it to go through cover, which is awesome. So you're not just kind of casting it into a pile of wood and then reeling it out, hoping you don't get stuck. You're kind of
Maneuvering it.
Maneuvering it around so you're not getting stuck.
All right, let's compare the Arashi and the Savage, or the S-Waver. the S-Waver. All right, let's take a look at the Arashi Glide. It's about the same, or actually I would say it's the exact same size as that S-Waver 2 Hundo. So this one definitely has like a softer glide to it. Not as wide. Pretty reactive though, like the smallest turn of the handle and that thing will go. I actually think I might like the way this one glides more than the S-Waver, the bigger S-Waver.
Like wider glide?
This one has like a tighter glide to it.
Okay.
But it's more reactive.
Yeah.
Like the smallest little, even a quarter handle turn and it'll get going. It seems like with one real handle turn, it'll automatically get going. With the S-Waver, I was realizing sometimes it would take like 2 full handle turns to get it to kick and start gliding the other way. That could have been user error. I don't know.
Well, I will say that I've noticed that gear ratio plays a big role in how much your reel will control for some baits. Like some baits, like S-Wavers, I like to have a slower ratio because otherwise you are doing a lot of like really micro things to get it to react. But like the bigger baits, I like to have a bigger ratio or a higher ratio, because then you don't have to do, you can do like one turn like this and it'll take it way out. You do another turn and it'll take it way out. You don't have to do as much big cranking on there. All right, this is the big one. This is the Shine Glide 230.
230, both of us are close.
This is like slow, steady. Kind of like real turn. Super slow sink. It's a good one. For the money, you can't really beat that, man.
It's a big bait.
I think it's 9 inches.
It's a big bait.
Big bait. Whoa, look.
What's up? Oh my God.
Caught one.
Got him.
Don't let anybody tell you these are too big. Okay? Catch all fish of all sizes. Look at this guy. Eyes were bigger than his stomach, I think. I'm gonna let him go. Let's get the release here.
Oh yeah, proper release. Beautiful.
Oh, I forgot to weigh it.
He was at least 12 pounds.
Big baits all day.
Well, it was a long day out there. We got out on the water at probably 6:45 and we fished until 4:30. So a solid 10 hours. We saw probably 10 to 15 fish that we had to follow the glides. And we had a couple other bites, and you guys saw that I had that one fish that ate, and I had him to the boat, and I lost him. Either way, it was a really fun day out there. It's been awesome getting out and throwing bigger baits all day and solely focusing on that. Huge thanks to Billy, obviously, for all the knowledge he's been helping me out with and sharing with you guys too. Right now, the fish are definitely in that transition of spring and summer, like they're done spawning for the most part. I'm sure there's still fish out there that are spawning, but the majority of them are probably done, so they're starting to make their way toward that deep water. I think that it probably did not make it any easier for us, but I think once they start getting a little bit more acclimated to that warm water and they start getting in their deeper holes, we might be able to find some really good fish in the next couple months. So I'm really excited for that. This is something that I can compare so much to muskie fishing. Just the style of it, the bit of dedication you really have to put into it. Like, again, 10 hours, we didn't technically catch a single fish, except for that last one Billy caught, that little bluegill on that Shine Glide. But it's a way that you're gonna catch the biggest possible fish in the body of water that you're fishing. So it's something a little bit different. If you guys wanna try it, hopefully this video will help you kind of decide which baits you want to go with and which gear. Billy has like a ridiculous swim bait collection when it comes to all the baits and his rods and reels and stuff, so he's been a huge help for me. And again, I was throwing that Dobbins all day, and a super affordable rod. I mean, like he said, you don't need to spend or go crazy on a reel if you're just starting, but the rod is obviously important. For $129, which is what the Dobbins Fury Swimbait Rod is sold for. For a dedicated swim bait rod, $129 is pretty affordable if it's something that you at least want to start taking shots at and play around with. I would highly suggest it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's something I'm looking forward to doing every week. So next week we are talking about doing a most expensive swim baits versus affordable swim baits, and gear too. Like, I'll go with some of the cheaper gear, setup, and baits, and then Billy will go with the super high-end rod, reel, and high-end baits, and we'll do a little 1v1, and then we'll switch halfway through the day just to see which one is working out better. But let me know if you'd like to see that down in the comment section below. That's where I'm going to leave this one off. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me if you're a new viewer. Leave a like as well if you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much. See you on the next one.